Hey, what's up, everybody? So we're getting a little bit of a bounce today. You could see pretty strongly. Look at ADA. It's up 13%. So we got 5.5, we got 7.5, right? We got 6%, 8.5%. Look at Optimism is up 10%, almost 11%. Look at Ethereum is up 8%. Litecoin is up 7%. SHIB is up 6%. Poly, you could see we're up today strongly. Look at Theta. Theta is up 9+%. And if we look at it on the smaller time frames, you can see we just had a little bit of a pop. So there's nothing too incredible happening, right? But what I do like about it is you could see the distance. Look at the distance from here to here. Okay, now look at the distance between here to here. It's a lot smaller. Actually, let me do that one more time. We have a distance there. Let's change it to another color. And look at that. We have a smaller distance there. And then if you look at that, we even have a smaller distance there. So what does that mean? That means that the waves down, the waves down, the waves down are getting smaller. Right? So that means selling pressure is slowing down. That's what it means. It's becoming exhausted. That's what it means, right? Especially when you have a wick. And I've seen this before. I'll have to go hunt down an example. Whoa, what happened there? But if we look at, one second, if we look at this drop, right? And it created this wick. It shot back up. And then it's drizzling down, drizzling down. That's literally exactly what we talked about after this massive liquidation, which is what? Which is testing the wick. So if you take the whole wick and you cut it in half, that's literally what my stipulation was for a lot of these altcoins. So we could see that very strongly. You can also see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 waves, which is what you want to see, right? You can say, oh, what's bottlenecking? It's not. It is slightly, but what it's doing is it's converging, right? If you have a converging bottleneck and it's downward, that's kind of like a sort of like a falling wedge. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today is Theta looking really good for a potential bottom here. Very, very soon, So if we put on the RSI, you can see the RSI has been getting killed, right? I mean, it's been staying below here. It hasn't even come to the top yet. So if you look, you have all of this purple space that hasn't been tested yet. So it's just dying to come up here and test it, So if we look at it, I would expect that this is probably going to bottom very soon, and we're going to come back up and get somewhat of a retrace in here. Maybe we create a bigger base. Maybe this whole thing is part of a bigger base, right? And so we build a little base, and then you know what I mean. So, but let's look at. We'll go to the daily. Is there anything on the RSI? Yes. Look at the RSI. You could see we have somewhat bullish divergence here. So you could see from here to there, boom. And then from here to there, boom. Right? So we're getting divergence. You can see it's kind of slowing down. Same with the price, it's slowing down. So or you could look at it as 5 waves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're in a rising wedge. So this could be, and it's Tuesday too. I mean, the best time to really kick off a rally is Tuesday, because then you have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to really sort of, continue the move. So I have no problem. If it was Monday and we were this bullish, I would be very worried. I'd be concerned. Because anytime we're bullish Sunday, Monday, it's concerning for Thursday, Friday, Saturday when it matters, right? When does it matter? It matters on Saturday, Sunday, because that's when the weekly closes. And that's when the important things happen on the chart. And if we look at the weekly so far, you're not going to really see anything except what? A bullish hammer candle. We have a hammer candle. We still have 5 days left on the candle, but we still have a hammer. If we look at the sequential, we had a 9 on the weekly, but it just, it continued further down. So we got to keep looking here. So I would think maybe the 2-week chart. We're on a 7. So we would get an 8, and then a 9. And that could be our reversal candle. So let's see if there's anything else here. Oh, we have a 9 on the 8-day chart, which is interesting. So let's see how it plays out. Theta is definitely oversold here. Let's go up to, where's my other Theta chart at? There it is. It's way too far down on my list. What happened to Theta? It got way too far down on my list. I got to put it back to the top of the list. There we go. I have to keep rotating them. Because I really believe that Theta is still going to be one of the best performing coins you could ever get. Especially since how much it retraced. Think about this for just a second. Look at this. Look how much we've came down. So if we were to go back up, that's like buying Theta right here. So remember, when Theta was barely a baby right here, it broke out and it went on a monumental bull run. Okay, well, guess what? That's exactly where the price is right now. So if it were ever to go back and challenge these highs, which you have to believe it will, if you don't believe it will, then don't buy the coin. I believe it will. I believe Theta will survive. I believe Theta will break all-time highs after we're finished with this A, B, C correction, right? We go up in 5 waves. We have a 5-wave move, and then we have a 3-wave pullback. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves at the end of our C wave. So this could literally be very close to a bottom here. Now, I am not confident in saying that yet because there's no signs of a bottoming yet. Maybe on the small time frames it's starting to look a little bit like that. But what I would say is I would put my zone right on top of this base right here. So, it's a little bit subjective. See, I like right here. See all these candles right here? Let me pull up my, dang it. I wish I had my arrow right on top there. But if you look right here, you could see these are 10-day candles. Let's go down. Well, now it's going to screw up my damn. Yeah, so when you go back in time, like let's say I go back in time, right? And now I'm looking at this chart. Now I want to go to the 2-day chart, right? I want to go to the 2-day chart. Well, look what happens. It destroys my chart. And now I'm back. Where the hell am I now? So I have to go back. See what I mean? It's kind of funny. But anyways, I digress. Look, we have all of this support right here. You could see this is a very important line right here. Extremely important, right at 20 cents. I really doubt that. I don't want to see Theta go below 20 cents because that's going below your wave 2, right? So if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's a wave 1, and this is a wave 2 of your bull run, if you go below 2, it's not really a good look. But it's not the end of the world. If we did, we would still have another one here at 16 cents, but that's still a long ways down. So I would think that it would be somewhere in this zone. Now that's a potential. We're very close. Let's see if we were to fall down from the wick. That's still another 30% down. So that's 3 10% days from where we are. That's about almost 40%. So we could still, that's the thing, that's the problem, right? We still have a potential 40% down So what do you do in that situation? Well, I could dollar cost average. I could say, okay, I could put, let's say I had $100, I put $10 in. We drop another 10%, I put another maybe $15 in. I drop another 10%, I drop another $25. And then we get an impulse off the low, I don't do anything. And then we get a three-way pullback, then I put maybe $30 or $40 in, right? So, it's just kind of how you go about thinking of it. So if people think we're in a bear market, which we are, we're totally in a bear market. We've been in a bear market since 2021 for Theta. So this is the bull run right here. See, this is the classical deception that everybody has because they associate crypto or Bitcoin with the entire crypto market. So they think crypto is going into a bear market. That's not true. Crypto has been in a bear market this entire time. It's Bitcoin is the one that's been in a bull market. It's Bitcoin is the one that's going into a bear market. It's the altcoins are the ones that are still in their bear market, and they're going to eventually turn around because we are so far deep into this thing. I mean, look, actually, I take that back. I apologize. We've been in a bear market since not 2022, but 2021. Okay? 2021, basically since Joe Biden was president. That's what's been going on. You see this? So Trump became president right here. We had a little bit of optimism, but then it continued down, right? So yeah, so this to me looks like it needs to come down maybe a little bit more, maybe finish up in here, build a little bit of structure. We want to see a structure like that or a structure like that, or a structure like this, or, something to tell us, hey, we're consolidating, not continuing to drop. And yeah, we've been in this wave for a long time. I mean, this wave started in November of last year. So this thing's been going down for the last year, guys. Think about that just for a second. Think of that. Think of how that really is. So if we look right here, this was literally 1 year ago. Literally 1 year ago. And we've been literally falling down for the last year. So think about that. For a whole year. And now all of a sudden, now people say we're in a bear market? Dude, we've been falling we've been in a bear market since 2021, first of all. But we've been falling for the last year. And now we're at the depression phase. And now people say, oh, now we're in a bear market. No. We are in a bear market, but it's really almost over. Not the end, not the beginning. Bitcoin, on the other hand, is in the beginning. So I think we're going to get a rotation. I think it's not like the old days where everything would move together and then certain coins would move in distribution. So I think there's going to be rotational plays, just like how Monero did not go with the Bitcoin bull run in 2021. It just went into a retrace. Or, for example, Zcash. But Zcash went into a bull run now, but it didn't back when Bitcoin was in its previous bull run. So what does that mean? That means they go off at different times now. And as you're stretching out, because think about the crypto market as a little baby, and now you're stretching it out, you're stretching it out, you're stretching it out, right? So that means it takes more time. That means certain things are going to pop off in times that you didn't really expect it to, because the market is so, it's becoming uncorrelated is what I'm saying, right? Everything was so hyper correlated with Bitcoin, but if I put Bitcoin up on the screen, there's no correlation. You can see there's correlation here, there's correlation here, but look at this. Now we're diverging. This is probably the most important thing for the Theta community to understand. And not just Theta, but all the altcoins. This is a massive, this chart right here, this example right here is probably one of the most important things I'll ever share on a chart, showing you the magnitude of what's going on here. Look at the difference. Look, we're correlated, we're correlated, we're correlated, we're correlated, we're correlated. But then what happened? What happened right here in, when was that? That was July of 2024. So Joe Biden was president. What did he do? What the hell did he do right there? So right here is where we diverged. You can see, look at the divergence. This is the biggest divergence we've ever seen. So again, we're correlated, and then Bitcoin continues to go up massively. But look at Theta. Theta's going down massively. Look at that Pac-Man. You know, it's starting to look like Pac-Man in here. You see that? So what do you think's going to happen? When you get divergence like this, what do you think happens? Eventually, they come back and they meet each other to a mean. They meet to a mean. And that means Bitcoin is valued too high, Theta is valued too low. So there's no guarantee, though. There's no guarantee that, you know, that's going to happen. Of course not. But if you believe in Theta, if you believe in the utility, if you believe in, you know, the network and the longevity of it, then this is really good for you. This is amazing for you. You don't get rich in bull markets. You don't get rich in bull markets. You get rich in bear markets. Bear markets are the ones that make you filthy rich, because bear markets are what allows you to accumulate the wealth, right? I'm not going to buy 1,000 coins up here, but I will buy 1,000 coins down here. And those 1,000 coins, when they go back up, are going to be worth a lot, right? But I don't care about the worth. I care about how many coins I have right now, so that when it eventually goes back up, we'll have something to show for it. Now you could say, well, how do we know it's going to go back up? Well, so basically the thesis is amongst the ultra bears is that, well, if Bitcoin goes into a bear market, we get a retrace and then we go down into a bear market, right? And then we kind of do that. Well, then that would mean Theta would probably also pump up, but instead of going down and making a lower low, it actually, what happens is it makes a higher low as Bitcoin comes down, right? So, but we need, what we really need is Theta to flatten out, Bitcoin to flatten out. Then we need Bitcoin to go into a retrace. And as it goes into a retrace, that's when we want Theta to go into a retrace, but we want it to retrace a lot. We want it to retrace as much as possible. So we want it to get way up here, somewhere up there, right? Then as Bitcoin, if it is confirmed and we go into a bear market, then we come down to 50, 60K, right? I don't think we're going to go below 60K. So, you know, between 50 and 60 is a decent spot. So as we come down, that's when we get, you know, maybe a three-way pullback. And then as we chill out in the bear market, we chill out, right? And then we start ramping up again, and we start ramping up again. So that's how you solve for divergence, right? Because if it wasn't, then we would have a retrace, we would have a fall, we would have a big fall. And then we would flatten out, and then we would go up. And that could be possible. I just don't really think it's likely because of the shape that I already see, which is this beautiful. I mean, honestly, Theta has one of the best looking charts out there. It's just not ready yet. It's just not ready yet. You can say, how can that be? That's the most bearish chart in the world. But yes, but look what it's printing. It's not ready yet. It has printed the epitome of what a chart should be. Okay? Which is what? Look how much this thing went up. This thing went up 45,000%. And people are tripping like, why isn't it going up anymore? Well, dude, it went up 45,000% just 4 years ago. So now it's been in a bear market this entire time. But look what it has created in the bear market. It's very beautiful if you could see it. So we could see 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And what's cooler is we also have an A, B, and a C. And what that is, this whole thing is an A, B, and a C, right? And let's see, what color do I want? So there we go. There we go. For theta. It's a theta color. So there you go. That's how I'm looking at it. So we have this powerful impulse, this 45,000% impulse. Think about that, 45,000%. And then we have an ABC correction that's proportional to the wave. It's proportional to the wave. It's a massive three-way pullback. So this thing is destined to really melt people's face off. So if we just go back up, right? If we just go back into a retrace, you know, let's say we're right here. Let's say we land at, let's say 25, let's say 24 cents is our low. And we start charging back up, and we start charging back up, and we make it all the way up back, you know, close to, let's say $3. Well, guess what? That's a 10x move just to get to $3, let alone $16, which it's really at, right? So that's 1,000%. Now let's say we break out of that and then we get going up towards $5. Well, that's 2,000%. Just to $5. Remember, the all-time high was $16. So then we jam up to, let's say, $8. Now we're at 3,500%. And then eventually we get back to the all-time high, which is, you know, say $16, $15. That's 6,000%. 6,000% just to get back to the all-time high, which is going to be a monumental task. It's not going to be easy, but just think about 6,000%. Now, you can say, yeah, but XRP is going to break out soon. Okay, so if we look at XRP and we go up 8,000%, do you even realize how ridiculous this is going to look? Let's go up 8,000%. Let's see which one's more likely. We're going to go up 8,000%. Well, I'm already at $10. I'm already at $11, and I'm only at 400%. You can say, well, then if you're so bullish on theta, why don't you sell all your XRP and you go? Because it's not ready yet. It's not ready yet. And that's where the rotational comes in. That's why, again, I'm going to be putting out more and more member videos about rotating and when to do that and all that. So, but it's just, you know, we just haven't been ready. You know, it takes time. It doesn't happen. Rome wasn't built in a day. It takes plenty of time. So if we go up just 1,000%, remember theta was at 6,000%. This is $25 and we're only up 1,000%. We still have to go to not 2, not 3, but 6,000. So let's keep going up 6,000%. All right, so now we're at 2,000% and we're at almost $50. What do you think's more likely? Theta hitting the all-time high eventually one day, or XRP hitting $50? I mean, it's going to be really hard to hit $50. So let's just go to 6,000. Let's just do it. So 6,000% puts us at, oh my God, this is insane. Is it going up? What happened? Let's try that one more time. I'm going to start it. It's at 217. I'm going to try to get as close as I can to that. Right there. So I'm going to go up 6,000% right there. That's like $130 if I can get it right on the dot, which is not going to happen. But yeah, that's $130. Say 133 bucks. That's crazy. So in order for XRP to hit 6,000%, the same what Theta would do to hit the all-time high, it would have to go to $100, not just $20, not just $50, not just $100, right? It would have to go up $130+ to get to that target, which is really unlikely. You know, if we look at a standard fib level, I mean, the issue is if XRP was down here, see, the thing is Theta is way down. I really hate this new update. I love the old update. It's so much easier to deal with, but Theta is down in the dumps. It's like it's down somewhere down here at 20 cents, right? So, and its all-time high is $16, which XRP is only $3. So, but it's already gone up quite a bit, right? So if we were to do that same measurement, and let's be fair about it, way down here, and then I went up 6,000%, what would that be? It would still be crazy. That would be right around $22 to $23, between $20 and $25, which sounds normal, right? So anyways, I digress on that, but let me go back to Mr. Theta here, and let me just say that once we bottom out and once we get a retrace, we should look at a minimum of what? Well, let's put on we could get rid of this now. We don't need that. We don't need that. We don't need that. We don't need that. Let's put on our fib level from, I guess we could do it. See, there's two tops here. And I'm wondering, since it took the low, if I should do this top or this top. Let's just do this one. And I come down. So we're looking at a minimum of 83 cents, which is the 50% level, which is right there. But we would really want to see, oh, you know what? This is on log, I think. Yeah, so let me do that again. Okay, there we go. So we want a minimum of 50, it would be $1.80. That's the minimum we should look for. You know, well, I would actually say, because you have some resistance right in here. There's a lot of resistance right in here. Actually, you have all of this, all of this, all of this. So there's a lot of resistance at $1.43. So I would say $1.43, $1.45, up to, you know, $2.72. You know, anywhere in that zone would be applicable. So let's, and if we ever, you know, got to beyond that, I mean, look at some of these targets here. You got $5, $6, $13 for the 4.236, which would be insane. It's kind of funny how the 4.236 lines up really well with the all-time high. That's interesting. So let's get rid of that, and let's take this, and we're going to clone it, and we're going to take it up here, and we're going to use this as our zone, and then we're going to brighten it up a little bit. There we go. So that's our target right there. And that's where I believe we will go, even if Bitcoin's in a bear market, because we should still get some kind of a retrace in here. You know, so it's either going to be like this, or it's going to be a lot shorter than that. But if it's shorter, then you're going to have more of a pullback. If we spend more time down here and then we go up, then we're going to have less of a pullback. If we go up immediately, then we're going to have a bigger pullback. So it depends. You know, it all evens itself out eventually. So there you go. That's Theta, and it only took 30 minutes to talk about it, which is ridiculous. So, but what if Bitcoin is not in a bear market? What if we still have another high? You know, I shared that video yesterday Alessio talking about, yeah, maybe it's not so much of in a bull market. But look, oh my God, there's a lot of things to be bullish about right now. Just look at ADA, and I can't ignore it. Look at this. Look at this impulse, right? Impulse, you have a three-way pullback. You have an impulse, right? You got a three-way pullback. You have an impulse, you have a three-way pullback. It looks so bullish. You're right on support. What do you think's going to happen? You think we're just going to crash? It doesn't make sense. It makes more sense to get a retrace. So, I mean, it looks perfect. Look at this. Look at that broadening wedge. It almost looks too perfect. So very, very interesting here. But what if Bitcoin does not go into a bear market? What if this is a flat, right? And then we go into our bear market later on. And the only way that could work is if this is 1, 2, this whole thing is 3, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is A, B, C. It's a flat A, B, C. So we would have 1, 2, we would have 3, 4, and then we would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up for wave 5. And then what would happen is we would get either a blow off top or maybe a distribution cycle here. Probably more so a blow off top, because it would, if it went parabolic into its fifth wave, it would look something like that. So then if that happens, that would give us an extra wave, and that would give us an impulse and another retrace. So we would have 2 more chances, maybe 3 more chances at getting an explosive move out of some of these altcoins. You know, especially because, dude, they've been beaten up so massively. When a coin has gotten obliterated like THETA, there's really nowhere else to go but up. Because who is left to sell? Who would be selling right now? Who the hell is shorting right now? Like, it makes no sense. You're at the lows. You know, that's like me shorting Bitcoin down here. Like, why would I do that? It's already went down super, super bad, right? So, yeah. So basically, there's 2 ideas with Bitcoin. Either this is 3 and 3, and then maybe we get 3, so it's a flat. And then we go up, and we go up in 5 waves, and we take the top. Or this is going to go up in 3 waves, we get rejected, and then we continue down. If we continue down, then I would imagine we're going to be going back to this level very easily. And I think we will hold that level. I think, you know, the bear market is not going to be, it's going to be short-lived, I think. I don't think it's going to be as big as people think it is. It's not going to be like this, right? If I take that line just like this and I put it down, and then I take that line and I put it right there, that takes us down to 30K, which it would be the absolute low. That would be the absolute low. I really don't even think we're going to go to 30K. I highly doubt that. It really depends when we get to this zone. I want to see. I'm not going to make my mind up. I'm allowed to change my mind. I'm not going to assume that until we get to this zone, because I want to see how it reacts. If it acts really weak, then, you know, maybe I could be open to it. But I really think it's going to be more up here. Remember, this is on log scale too. So if I went to regular scale and I did that, and I take this line and I put it right there, and then I shorten it up like this, and then I take that same line and I put it right there. Da, 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 da. Look at that. It's almost perfect. It's actually this bear market would be worse than this bear market according to the line, you know. So we would have further down to go. So let me put this right here. I'm going to put it right at the top. And you could see, let me put that zone a little bit closer up. Maybe a little bit like that. And you can see we're basically right there. So look how much further we have to go. We really have not that much further to go. So if you count this 80K wick, we only had another $10,000. And then that could literally be the bear market low. I mean, it's possible. Because again, you take the length of this and the length of that, it's the same length. So, but it's not quite ready, yet. So, anyways, um, we should all be grateful that Theta is such low prices. I mean, insanely low prices, right? And we could even go lower. So, yeah, I want to see this level out, and I want to see us get that retrace at some point. So that's basically it. And then Bitcoin dominance, starting to poke up a little bit here. So we could see a three-way move like that. And then ADA, look at ADA, look how bullish that looks. I mean, it's starting to look bullish. You could start to see, the rejection wicks. You get this bullish hammer, the wick here, another one here. It's starting to slow down, right? It's starting to slow down. So, and then not only that, but look at the support we're on. And not only that, but Bitcoin is more oversold than it was in the middle of the 2021 bear market. So let's look at 88 RSI levels. So if you just look at, for example, the 5-day RSI, and we look at it here, you could see from this low to this, you could see there's a elevation change, right? You can see we're going up. But if you look at the RSI, you can see it's going down. And that's called hidden bullish divergence that they won't tell you about. They'll tell you about the bearish divergence, but they won't tell you about the hidden bullish divergence. So, and then not only that, but you can see the RSI has created this three-way move, and we're basically oversold. We haven't been this oversold since when? Let's take a line here. So I'm going to put it at the top, bottom there, right there. So we're right at the low. So we haven't been this oversold since going back to January or December of 2022. And if you look at that for just a second, where is that at? Where is that at? That's literally at the lowest point of the bear market. Explain that one to me. So that's why I'm saying the more bearish the sentiment gets, the more extreme the RSI gets, the more people believe we're in a bear market, the more probable that we're going to bounce hard and go up viciously. So I hope you guys are ready for that. Because if you look, it doesn't mean, we're going into a full-fledged bull market, but you're going, anytime you go down for a whole year, you come right to support. You got the lowest RSI going back from this major thing, right? I mean, just look at the size of this and look at the size of that. And this right here is basically as weak as when it was there. So, everything is saying, hey, we should be chilling out. We should be slowing down. You can only sell so much, right? People are selling. You can only sell so much. Look at where we're at. We're at an extremely key level, like probably one of the most important levels of ADA's history, not even close. I mean, you can see, look at all of this in here. Major hits. You got a hit here, hit there, right? Hits. You got another hit there, and that's exactly where we're at. You got all of this down here, right? So this is a very key area between, 36 and whatever, 43 cents. So this to me would be an accumulation area, right? And then as a trader, right? So people who have been listening to me a while, most of you guys are investors, but I think some of you guys are starting to trade now. and you're figuring out, hey, you know, sometimes it can be challenging, but sometimes the setup is screaming in your face, right? And, you know, I'm looking at taking, let's take that. I'm looking at this right there. So I want to see, you know, maybe we don't get it. You know, there's a chance that we don't get it. There's a chance that we could break down. We have to recognize that, right? But that's why we want to see some leveling off here. We want to see a little bit more proof. We want to see a little bit more confirmation that we're going to hold in here. We're going to hold in here, and we're going to get somewhat of a bounce, right? So that's what we need to look for. Now, XRP, I spent a little while. You know, I made you know, like a members video, but it was a members first video. So I have members only videos and members first videos. So it's available to anyone if you want to go watch it. They're different though, right? A members first is going to be different than a members only. So anyways, XRP, as far as the RSI goes, we're going to do the same RSI check. And we haven't been this oversold. And we're not really oversold on XRP. But we haven't been this oversold since back in June of 2024. And that was when it was lowest point right there. So I'm going to put that right there. But if we match that, it would actually be right there. Right? And then that would be right here. So that was back when XRP was at 30 cents. So the RSI is in the same spot it was when XRP was 30 cents. So can you say hidden bull? Right? You know, look at, this is vertical. No, I'm sorry. This is horizontal. And this is inclining, right? So that means what? Hidden bull. But it doesn't really count because it's too far apart. You know, it doesn't really count. But it's there nonetheless. So this low right here and this low right here. So you can see that's going up and it's going slightly up. So if we look at, for example, like the 3-day chart, you could see the RSI is a little bit lower. You could see, you know, we're on a pretty key level. Let me see if I could stretch that out a little bit more. I'm just going to put it right there. So you could see throughout XRP's life, or at least this part of its life, you know, we're at the lower part. You could see all of these hits, right? They're basically all kind of in the same spot. And every single time we bounce off of it, 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 right? This time we have a massive three-way pullback. So what do you think is going to happen? We're most likely going to bounce off of it, which would result in, it could be nothing. It could be, for example, the RSI is deceiving because we could go up just like that. And then the RSI can go up massively, right? So we could just go like, this, and then that RSI could go all the way up there, and then you have bearish divergence. So that's what we want to look for. We don't want to look for that, or we want to identify it, so we can know that it's there. But yeah, XRP's got a little bit of a bounce off the lows here. So we were just looking at it yesterday. We were looking at this as a 5-way move. Look at this. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you have A, B, and then you have C. So you have a 5 and a 3. And now you have this move here. So what is going on here? And this applies for all the other charts as well. But mainly it could be either this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to get a, or we're going to get a, a 5-way move here. And it's going to be a 5, 3, 5. Or what we have here is 3 down. We're going to get maybe 3 up and then maybe 3 back down. And then we go up in 5. And that might be even better because that will create a better base. It'll create more layers of support. So, it's winter time, right? And when you're in Alaska, you got to have layers, right? You have to have your shirt, your long sleeve shirt, your thermals, your sweaters, your jackets. You got to layer up to protect from the cold. And just like the price has to layer up to protect itself from insecure investors, really. So, is there anything I don't like about it? Yes, I don't like this. I don't like how it's going like this, because that could be dangerous. That could lead to a big drop. And I've mentioned that. And if it did do that, it's still not over. I would still expect a big move, right? If we had to come back down to $1.30, or if we look at this right here, you could see all these candles right here, extremely important. Let's put that there. We'll put this one right there. Between $1.30 and $1.60, and maybe we'll put one more right there, and that one could be dashed. There we go. So that's kind of this is basically our levels right here. So if this wanted to be nasty, like 1, 2, 3, and then let's say we go up for a 4, and everyone says, oh, we're going to a retrace, but it's only a 4th wave, and then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 3, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3, 3, 5. So that's an ABC. That lands us right in our zone, our beautiful zone, between $1.30 and $1.60, and then we gear up. And then if that happened, I would expect a big retrace, right? A big retrace, probably coming back to this level. Or if it was going to go into a bear market, just to retrace. But if it was not a bear market and it was going to continue, then I would expect a parabola up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So it doesn't mean we're done quite yet. Let's put this right there. So what I want to see us do is stay above $1.90. We want to stay above $1.90 in order to protect us from this support. But if we break the support and then we come back up, we might get rejected at that point. And if we do, then, that could be a bigger move down, right? That could be something like, $1.15. The lowest would be there, a 90 cents. So if this is the bear market, if this whole thing is the bear market, then, or I should say a continuation of the bear market, then I would say we're about halfway there, right? If we take a line and let's say it's worst case possible scenario, and we cut that line in half, we're almost halfway there. So I know it sucks if that was the case, but we don't know it's the case yet, right? So let's see. Is there anything else going on here? Bitcoin Cash. Oh my God. Look at Bitcoin Cash, guys. I wouldn't sleep on this one. I'm seriously thinking about adding to my Bitcoin trade because it just looks ridiculous. I mean, you know, Bitcoin has cash has been beaten up massively. And look, you could see the correlation here, right? But look at the correlation now, it's diverging. So what I'm saying, look at the difference. You can see Bitcoin has this massive crash, but look at Bitcoin Cash, it's barely flagging out. So that tells me Bitcoin Cash is a lot stronger than Bitcoin. So what does that mean? That means once Bitcoin gets a retrace, that could be the fuel to the fire needed for Bitcoin Cash to get a massive pump off the low. So, and it'll be like a Zcash event, it'll be like a Zcash event, something where it just randomly pops off, and it doesn't have to be in a bull market. It could be in a Bitcoin retrace. So we're looking at this line here. I hate dashed lines. Let's, come on. What are you doing? What are you doing? There we go. So I would imagine we would break this line. This is a very key level here for Bitcoin Cash. I mean, extremely key level. I mean, you could see every little spot. Boom, 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 boom. And we're right there. We're cocking back like a loaded gun. We're stretching the what do they call it? The slingshot back further, 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 and it's going to explode, and it's going to hopefully break out. Now, what if I'm wrong? What if I'm wrong and it's not the case? Well, then I would still expect, us to kind of, give us a three-way move and then continue going down in 5. And then from there, I would say, okay, now we have 3, 3, 5. And then I would expect the same thing. If it failed from there, then I would expect a rejection there and then a continuation down. But I just don't really, I mean, it's possible, but it actually looks better than it does worse. So again, you got 5 waves up, you got 3 waves back. I mean, that's perfect. And that's been going on for the last year, right? We've been going up. Let's see. Is that when Bitcoin started going up? Yeah. But you could see Bitcoin looks finished, but Bitcoin Cash doesn't look finished. It looks like it needs, a little bit more to go. It looks like it looks like it should do that to me. So we'll see if it does it. Now, as far as the RSI goes, I mean, there's probably a lot of different indicators we can look at, but the main indicator is the price action. Let's look at well, first of all, if we look at the EMAs, we're still very much so in a bullish phase. The reason why is because if you look at Consensio, which is the 20, 50, 100, 200 moving averages, look what they're doing. They're pointed up. Look at this, guys. This is extremely important. This is pointed up. This is pointed up. This is pointed up. This is pointed up. Okay. Fair enough. Now look at this. Now let's go back to Bitcoin here. Right there. And we'll do the same thing. Look at the difference. You can see the 20 is going down. The 50 is going down. The 100 is leveling out. The 200 is leveling out. Right? Let's look at XRP here. XRP, same kind of thing, It's kind of going down. It's kind of going down. It's kind of flattening out. It's getting squeezed. It's going to get squeezed in here. And then hopefully it continues. But Bitcoin Cash, on the other hand, looks absolutely phenomenal. It's above all the moving averages. It's above the Bitcoin. It's above the bull market support. That's the most important thing, is the bull market support band. And look where it's at. It's kind of trapped in between it, but that's okay. It's still way better than some of these other charts. So I think it's, and then look at this. The whole chart is one giant 3-way pullback. So here's your impulse. Here's your 3-way pullback. and then you have 5 waves up, you have 3 waves down. So it's just like, it's just right in your face. So I don't know. I mean, I think this is going to be very interesting. We'll see how it plays out. I could be totally wrong. This is not financial. I could be wrong. But if if I'm wrong, you'll be the first to know. So let's keep looking. Like, look at Rune. Oh my God. See, this could be the end here soon. Look, you got 5 waves, dude. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or actually, no. It'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then this would be 3 up, and this would be 5 down. So you have a 5, 3, 5. So you have an impulse, and you have an A, and a B, and a C. I mean, hello. So does that mean it's finished and we're going to go to the moon? No. What that means is we're getting close, because we still have this wave. We still have 1, 2, 3. So this could still be 4, and we still need 5. And then to go up. So don't let it deceive you that way. And you could start to see it's starting to, it could be, you could get a sense of what it could potentially do as far as a W pattern goes. So Monero's another one, just like Bitcoin Cash. You know, I would never think in a million years, if you had told me back in 2019 that in 2026 we're going to be like focused on Monero and Bitcoin Cash. I would be those are the 2 least ones I would be interested in, because we've been conditioned to believe that they suck, and we're complacent on that. But the chart, I'm not going by the coin. I'm just going by the chart. So I wish this chart was XRP. I wish this chart was XRP. Well, actually, XRP is basically the same chart. You know, rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, breakout. Same with XRP, right? Rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, breakout. But XRP is further along. So yeah, Monero looks like it could totally bust out of here. You know, you're right at this level. You're right at the all-time highs, you know, boom, boom, boom. So this is a monumental thing, right? I mean, look how many years it's taken to get to that point. So when is this thing going to break out? Well, I have 2 options. One option is that this is going to be like a flat in here, and we're going to flag out and then break out. The other option is that this whole thing is a flat, and then we break out. So I don't know what the answer is. We're just going to have to wait and see. But judging by it right now, I mean, you have this 3 move down. I don't know if it's going to be like 3 up and then 3 back down. It becomes a bigger flat. Or if this whole thing is a flat. So we shall see. The one that I still really don't like, and the one that's still bothering me, is others. This is the one that I don't like. This is the one the bears have me. You know, because this chart definitely looks more bearish than any of the charts. And it's basically all of the crypto except the top 10. So, you know, it's a little bit sketchy. But that doesn't mean like you can have one-offs like Bitcoin Cash or Monero popping out, or it doesn't include XRP, right? But it includes Theta, it includes basically everything. So this, you know, it could be a rising wedge or a falling wedge. I just don't really like how it's doing that. It kind of reminds me of that. So you kind of need boom and then boom and then boom and then boom. If we got that, and it would make more sense to me. But yeah, but this one is also bullish. It's just, you know, from a more stretched out perspective, right? Because you have 3 down, right? Or I'm sorry, yeah, you have 3 down, you have 5 up, And now this could be 3 down. But is the 3 down going to be a little bit further down? I think it has to come down a little bit further and then kind of do that. Or, do that. So we're getting there. We're getting there. It's just, taking time. But let's see, Ethereum. Yeah, like look at Ethereum on the 3-day. On the 2-day, let's see here. Yeah, you could see we're hitting the low, we're about to hit the low here. And that was back over here. So that was this low, this low, this low, this low. And now we have this low, and now we have this low. So definitely interesting. Still could be, a shoulder, a head, and then we have another shoulder here. And then the neckline could be something like this. There you go. That could be interesting. Something like that. It's a little bit steep. But essentially, what we would have is a curve, and a curve. And then I would take this here, go there, boom, boom. Just like that. So there's your inversed head and shoulders pattern. So let's see how that plays out. But essentially, if we were to break this, that would be a pretty big move, roughly speaking. I mean, what is that? That's $16,000. That's crazy. I would think more so 10,000, and we can measure the shoulder instead and see if that does anything different. Yeah, that's better. That's about 10,000 there. So if I move this over here, it's a little bit less, still 15,000. So we'll get rid of that. We'll be more conservative. We'll say 10. That's still a big ass move. So yeah, and it will be put it right there. So that's kind of our little roadmap here. You impulse, you got 3 down, you got 3 up, you got 3 down, and now you could potentially have this shoulder here complete the cycle or complete the topping situation. Look at XLM. XLM looks like kind of like, I don't know, like it looks perfectly almost symmetrical. XLM. It's really interesting. So yeah, we came right back down to support. You got this interesting candle here. I like that 2-day candle. It looks really interesting. But I wouldn't really trust it in here. I mean, I wouldn't buy it now. I mean, you slammed down, you came up. This would have been a good trade. I didn't get to do that trade. So that's basically it. And another thing would be XRP versus Bitcoin. How's this going? It's still, look at this. You still have higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. So you have a low, you have a higher low. You have a 3-way pullback. So that's good, right? Now, does the altcoins, so when Bitcoin goes into a retrace, will the altcoins go stronger or weaker? That's going to be the big question. So right as of now, they're weaker. Or I'm sorry, as of now, they're stronger. You could see that in XRP versus Bitcoin. So, I mean, you can see XDC. You got a double bottom. You got a W shape. You got an impulse. You got a 3-way pullback. You're right at support. RSI is almost oversold, you know? So there's a reason to think, hey, we should be slowing down our selling pressure and thinking about, a retrace at some point. Now look at freaking silver. Silver is just going bonkers. So we know Bix Weir is happy. Look at the cup and handle. We broke the cup and handle. Just like we talked about. Man, that looks really cool. And oh, look at this. Look at this, guys. I'm going to show you something real cool. Look at this. You can see a fractal here. And this is what I was trying to emphasize. You have your impulse. You got to move down, right? Kind of play around a little bit. Play around. Slam the low. Hit the high. Right? And then you have this three-way pullback. Look at that, guys. Look at that. And look at H bar. Three-way pullback. The same goes with XLM. Same goes with ADA. Same goes with XDC. Let's look at XDC real quick. And also XRP, of course, because, why would it not? Right? Look at XDC here. There we go. Let's make it bigger here. So you could see right there. Perfect. I mean, just look at that. So there you go, right there. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Don't think for a second where, XDC can't just, get some crazy wave back to the upside in a Bitcoin retrace, So let's see how all of that plays out. And the dollar got a little three-way move. Maybe we can go down. That would be nice. You have a three-way move, so let's see if the move extends a little bit. If it does, it could turn into a 4-5. If it doesn't, it could turn into 3 down, 3 up, 3 down, maybe you get 5 up, right? Or it could be a fourth wave, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we got to go down for 5, get the divergence. We'll see. Anyways, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I will catch you guys on the next one. Remember, it's not financial advice, and let's see how it plays out. Cheers.